Sometimes the past doesn't stay where you leave it. It waits, quietly, patiently, folded inside a book, tucked into an attic you've walked beneath for decades. I was 67 when I found the letter, and in that moment, I realized I didn't know the whole story of my life. Arthur and I lived in that little stone cottage for more than 40 years. After he passed, I told myself it was time to downsize. One quiet afternoon, I climbed into the attic to start sorting through our life together. It smelled of dust and lavender. The lavender came from an old linen box, and the dust, well, Arthur never threw anything away. I sat cross legged on the floor, surrounded by boxes of receipts, birthday cards, postcards from friends I barely remembered. I picked up an old copy of The Great Gatsby. Something thin slipped from between its pages. An envelope, cream colored, brittle at the corners. On the front, a name I didn't recognize. Inside was a letter, and the handwriting was Arthur's. I opened it carefully, afraid it might crumble in my hands. The first line stopped me cold. My
My dearest
dearest
Lena,
Lena. Lena? I didn't know any Lena.
I can't put into words how much you've given me. Loving you has been a gift I never deserved. I'm afraid that I can't continue this life with you, but I need you to know this. You'll always be in my heart. Always. Arthur.
I read those lines again and again. It sounded so tender. Who was she? And when did he write this? I thought back to the day I met Arthur at a church picnic. The way his laugh carried across the field. The way he looked at me when we danced for the first time. All these years, I thought I knew every corner of his heart. But now, holding that letter, I felt like a stranger in my own marriage. Had he loved someone else all this time? Did he ever love me? That night, I sat at the kitchen table with the letter in front of me, my tea gone cold. I thought about burning it. I even lit a match. But as the flame trembled close to the paper, I blew it out. I couldn't destroy it. I couldn't unknow what I'd read. This wasn't just Arthur's secret anymore. It was mine too. I didn't sleep that night. I lay awake, the letter on my bedside table, reading and rereading the same lines in my head. You'll always be in my heart. Always. It sounded recent, tender, final. The kind of words you write when there's no time left, when every sentence carries the weight of goodbye. I kept thinking about the last few months of Arthur's life, the times he'd been quieter than usual, distracted, lost in thought. At the time, I assumed it was the illness. Now, I wasn't so sure. The next morning, I started searching. I went through his study, his little kingdom of clutter, pulling out old journals, faded photographs, receipts from years I barely remembered. And then I found her name, written in the margin of an old economics textbook. Lena. No surname, no date, just Lena. I turned the book over and over, looking for anything else. A photograph, a note, something to explain it, but there was nothing. The silence in that room was deafening. I started imagining them together. Coffee dates I didn't know about. Long walks when I thought he was at the hardware store. A whole part of his life tucked away from me. I'm not good with computers. Never have been. But that morning, I turned into an investigator. I typed Lena plus Arthur plus University of Melbourne into the search bar and waited. There were too many results at first. Then one caught my eye, an obituary. Lena Hart graduated the same year Arthur did, died 3 years ago. I stared at her name on the screen. Relief, grief, jealousy. I couldn't untangle the feeling. And then I saw the last line. Survived by her nephew, Samuel Hart. I don't know why, but I wrote his name down. Like part of me already knew. I was going to find him. I called Samuel a week later. I told him I'd found some old papers of Arthur's and thought he might want to hear a few stories about his aunt. That wasn't the whole truth, of course, but it was enough. He suggested we meet for coffee. Samuel reminded me of Arthur, in small ways. Bookish, soft spoken, eyes that saw more than they said. We talked about Lena. He said she was witty, stubborn, a force of nature when she wanted to be. And then he said something that made my heart lurch. My aunt never really got over someone, he told me, sipping his coffee. She never said his name, but I always thought maybe he loved her too. I nodded, pretending I didn't know who he meant. But inside, I felt the walls of my life shifting again. After meeting Samuel, I couldn't shake the feeling that I'd been living alongside a stranger. I kept replaying the little details of Arthur's last months, his long walks, the afternoons he disappeared into his study, the nights he'd sit quietly, staring out the kitchen window as if he were somewhere else entirely. I started wondering if Lena had been there, if they'd call each other. The letter was his last goodbye, not to me, but to her. I thought I knew my husband. I thought I knew my life. But the truth felt like it was hiding in someone else's hands. A week later, I got a phone call. It was Samuel. His voice had that careful weight to it, the kind you use when you're not sure whether what you're holding is good news or something fragile. He said he'd found something Lena kept all these years, and maybe it could help me understand. We agreed to meet at Lena's old house the next morning. Lena's house felt frozen in time. There was a faint smell of lavender, like she'd only stepped out for tea. Samuel led me to her study. A small, sunlit room filled with books, dried flowers, and delicate porcelain cups. On her desk sat a wooden box. He opened it carefully, as though disturbing a memory. Inside were mementos, ticket stubs, pressed violets, photographs fading at the edges. And then another letter. Arthur's handwriting.
Lena, I don't know how to write this without hurting you. I never thought I'd feel this way about anyone but you. Not after everything we've shared. But I've met someone, and she's unexpected, gentle, funny in ways she doesn't even realize. When I'm with her, the world feels different, like I can breathe again. I don't know what this means yet. I'm confused, but I do know I can't keep pretending nothing has changed. I have to choose soon, and I hate myself for putting you through this. You deserve someone steady, someone certain. If it isn't me, I hope one day you'll forgive me. Arthur.
The date, 1975, the year Arthur and I met. I read the words again and again, my hands trembling. It wasn't a recent letter. It wasn't a betrayal. It was written when he met me, when he was falling in love with me and saying goodbye to her. 40 years. All this time, I thought I'd been living beside a secret, that Arthur had hidden another life from me. But the truth was simpler. He chose me. every day for 40 years. He chose me. And suddenly, the letter I found in the attic felt different. It wasn't a haunting, it was a beginning, a fragment from the very start of our story. That night, I went back up to the attic. I placed Arthur's letter back into its envelope, smoothed the creases with my hand, and tucked it gently into the box. Not to hide it, to keep it safe. Some loves belong to the past. But knowing the past made the life we built feel even more precious. Thank you, Arthur, for choosing me